We're going to
Please
go to
do.
our GMA cover story.
Great.
It is Black Maternal Health Week. And this morning, we're taking a closer look at why some women are turning to midwives for childbirth care, as opposed to just relying on the traditional medical community. Janae Norman is back with more. Good morning again, Janae.
Hey, Michael. So according to the CDC, the maternal death rate for Black women is 2.5 times higher than for white women. On Wednesday, the Department of Health and Human Services announced $16 million will go to addressing these disparities. But right now, the joy of childbirth so many get to experience looks so different for many women of color.
These babies, just days old, were born in one of the world's wealthiest countries. But for their mom, it's one of the deadliest.
I continuously say that this is an SOS situation. We must save ourselves.
The United States has the highest death rates for new moms among industrialized nations. And according to the CDC, Black women in America are nearly 3 times more likely to die than white women in childbirth or from pregnancy-related complications, regardless of their education and income level.
We know that the consequences of racism, sexism, gender oppression are causing us to die within childbirth.
Experts say the reasons, though broad-ranging from disparities in healthcare and underlying chronic conditions, point back to structural racism and implicit bias. The pandemic prompting many women of all races to seek more holistic support. Enter the midwife, a trained health professional that provides care throughout pregnancy, labor, birth, postpartum, and beyond, assisting births at home, in birthing centers, and in hospitals. Nubia Earth Martin is one of countless midwives on the front lines, fighting to save the lives of women dying giving birth. Studies show that for low-risk pregnancies, midwife-led care is linked to fewer medical interventions and better birthing outcomes for both baby and mom, including decreased risk of needing a C-section or to be induced, and decreased infant mortality rates and risk of preterm birth. 32-year-old Nicole Amwako delivered her first child in the hospital, but has chosen a home birth with a midwife for her second.
Being with a midwife, especially the midwife team that I've chosen, one that is not only culturally competent, but is from my community, makes me feel safer, 100%. Your prenatals are much longer, and so you're able to share any questions that you have. And I think that the resources that you're able to get from a midwife are oftentimes really supportive and helpful during the duration of your pregnancy and birth.
But some expectant moms may face hurdles in seeking alternative care, like prior pregnancy complications, underlying medical conditions, or even restrictions from insurance coverage.
When you have somebody who maybe is healthy, having a low-risk pregnancy, wants to give birth with midwives in the comfort of their home, and then the insurance won't cover it, then they have to make a hard decision to enter into the medical industrial complex where they might not want to birth, and yes, in some situations may not survive.
And to be clear, midwifery does not equal home births. So home births do come with their own risks that individuals have to weigh, but interactions with a midwife will inherently be different than with a doctor. And research overwhelmingly shows that working with a midwife does lead to greater birthing outcomes and can help save lives. And Michael, I can't come on the show 3 times today and not say congratulations and happy anniversary to our girl, Robin. Love you, Robin.
All right, well, I'll pass that message along. Thank you so much for that, Janae. And joining us now, ABC News Chief Medical Correspondent, Dr. Jen Ashton, who has delivered more than 1,000 babies. And Dr. Ashton, you've been talking about this for quite a while now. Yep. Can you help us understand why there's such a disparity when it comes to Black women seeking medical care?
You know, I think the risks faced by women of color are complex. As we heard in the piece, they could be more likely to have pre-existing medical conditions like obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure that put them at increased risk. But studies are really pointing to the fact that they're undervalued a lot of times, and the bias in our healthcare system, you know, a lot of times their issues are not paid the same attention to that non-women of color face. So
and if these women feel like they're not getting acceptable health care, what can they do?
Well, I think the first thing is empower, educate yourself. The more you know, the better it is. Bring an advocate with you, if possible, to prenatal visits. And if you feel your questions are not being answered, ask for a second opinion. Do not stop speaking up. I think that, you know, we have to shift the paradigm. This is not a paternalistic practice of medicine anymore. And in the field of obstetrics, we put a lot of weight on a woman's gut feeling.
And more women are turning to these non-traditional healthcare methods. So what are the risks of doing that?
Well, first of all, there is no such thing as zero risk. And there was a recent study and report out by the American Academy of Pediatrics that evaluated some of these alternative birth practices and found that there is a slightly higher risk for the mother and the baby when performed like that. But I think we also have to understand that midwives do not have surgical training. They are absolutely medically certified. And I trained with the largest midwifery group here in New York City. When they have OB backup, that can be great, but this is something that women should talk to their provider about their concerns. We need to do better in this country. This is a national embarrassment.
Well, I'm glad that you've been bringing attention to this for the last few years.
you.
We really appreciate you, Doc, and all your advice, as always.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.